Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing ctom2000 in the 15-minute pool on ICC. ctom is rated 2082, and let's check his stats. He's playing a French defense. I played King's Indian attack last time, so let's play d4 and go with the main line this time. He's a peak rating of 2180 in the 15-minute category. So usually I play knight c3. I know that line better, so I'll do that. Knight c3 is one of the main moves here. Knight c6, wow, that's unusual. You see that against knight d2, but I don't know if I've ever seen that against knight c3. I wonder if the idea is similar. Usually with knight c6, they're trying to develop quickly and then play knight f6, e5, knight d7, and then go for an immediate f6. So, I mean, knight f3 is an obvious move to respond to this. Yeah, let's just do that. I wonder if this is like a pet line. And he does play this. I mean, I kind of think my knight will be better placed on c3 compared to d2 if I go e5 right now, so let's play that. Maybe he'll go knight e4. Maybe he'll jump in that way. He does. So if bishop d3, he can play bishop b4 and try to pin. But then I can always play bishop d2 if I want. Should be a tiny bit better, I'd say. Queen d3 is also interesting. a3 I could play if I want to keep his bishop out. I don't want to take on e4 because then he takes with his pawn and he'll be attacking d4 twice and my knight is driven away. So that doesn't appeal to me. So right now it's between bishop d3, a3, maybe queen d3. Queen d3 has knight b4, so I don't think I like that move too much. So I'd say bishop d3 or a3. I mean, bishop d3 is much more direct. Let's do that move. And I know I'm allowing him to play bishop b4, but I think just bishop d2 and it's fine. We're probably going to swap some pieces now. He'll take on d2 more than likely. Let's take with the queen. The only thing I'm wondering is if he can quickly undermine the center. Like even f6 right now is kind of interesting. He plays it. Maybe bishop b5. Pinning his knight. Because if he gets to take on e5 and I have to occupy that with my knight or my pawn, I don't like that as much. Well, I'd like to occupy it with my knight when he can't trade knights, I guess is what I mean. If I take on f6, he'll take it with his queen more than likely. Take, queen takes, castle. Maybe that's good for a small advantage, I don't know. Because if takes and he has to take with a pawn, well then maybe queen h6 is something. Maybe I can get an attack against his king. So let's say take on f6, queen takes, castle. He can't take on d4 twice because we have a trick with bishop d4 coming. I'm going to do that. I've decided. I could also castle queenside if I want. Maybe first, before deciding which way to castle, I should play a3. Try to get him to take here. a3, bishop takes, queen takes. Could be good. Could be a little bit better for us. Yeah, let's try it. Maybe I can get him to commit to bishop d6. It's possible. I'd like to get rid of this pin sooner rather than later, so why not do it now? Well, definitely let me know, guys, in the comments if you've seen this knight c6 move on move 3 against knight c3, because I'm not aware of it. It actually seems to have worked out okay for him. All right, so now castling queenside would be horrible in view of bishop f4. So let's not do that. I can still castle short if I want. Knight e2 or knight b5 is also an option. Knight b5, though, I don't have great control over d5. So I probably shouldn't play that way. Let's castle short. Again, he can't take on d4 because we take, and then there's a trick with bishop g6 check or bishop b5. So he has just castled short. I wonder now if he can go bishop f4 and maybe once my queen's driven away, like let's say to e2, then take on d4. That could be an issue. If knight e2 to defend d4, he has e5. I don't like that. Maybe bishop b5. Bishop b5 actually could be decent. Let's do that move. Maybe just trying to eliminate the knight. We might get to a position with like 2 knights versus 2 bishops, but if I can get my knight into e5, I'm pretty happy. Like say I'm able to play like rook fe1 or rook ae1 and take on c6 and then knight into e5. I don't think there's any reason to believe I'd be worse with the 2 knights. He almost has to just play around this knight. Yeah, this could be okay. I think we can make this work. French is one opening I've just never really been completely sure how to handle it from the white side. Like move 3, you have this big choice, right? Like you can play knight c3, you can play knight d2. Those are 2 good developing moves that also defend the pawn on e4. And then you can push e5 if you want, move 3, the advanced variation. Some people take on d5, the exchange variation. It's never been entirely clear like which approach is best between e5, knight c3, and knight d2. So those are the main lines. Stuff like what I played last time, the King's Indian attack, is not theoretically challenging to black. It's just kind of a setup you can use. So in the eyes of theory, even, I don't think it has been established which of those move 3 alternatives is the way to go. So you kind of just got to choose one. I'd say knight c3 is a little more tactical. Knight d2 is kind of more strategic / positional. The advanced variation maybe is somewhere in between. Okay, so queen g6, maybe that introduces ideas of e5 and bishop to h3. Trying to take advantage of the pin here. Oh, also he's threatening just rook takes f3. That's probably important to note. So I could play queen to d3 if I want in a bid to try to trade queens. Queen d3, queen takes d3, bishop takes d3. e5 is not possible because he hangs his d5 pawn. Well, maybe it is actually, because he would win d4. I'd like to play king h1, but I'm worried about rook takes f3. Like king h1, rook takes f3, g takes f3, and like queen h5. Then he'd be threatening queen takes h2 mate, in addition to the queen coming to f3. I wish knight e2 had already been played so I could play knight g3 right now. I might have to submit to this queen d3 move, as much as I don't want to. Queen d3, queen takes d3, bishop takes d3, e5. D takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, knight takes d5. He takes on b2 at the end. I take c7 at the end. He takes a1, I take a8, bishop e5, and he's kind of trapping my knight. That's a long line. If I play queen g5, he has queen takes c2, so that doesn't work. Knight g5, he has bishop f4. Maybe queen d3 is kind of forced. It's a really ugly move, though. Knight h4, he has queen g4. Yeah, queen g6 is strong. Maybe I gotta play bishop back to d3. But then he plays queen h5, and he's still threatening the same thing. If I take on c6, he can even play rook takes f3. Doesn't have to take on c6 and reply. Man, oh man. I think I'm just much worse now. I didn't see this move, and there aren't many remedies to it. All right, I guess I'll play queen d3, just out of necessity. Again, I don't really see anything. He can play queen h5 if he wants, threatening rook takes f3. I guess then I can play h3, and maybe I can still carry out my strategic plan of taking on c6. I'll pre-move bishop takes. So let's say he plays queen takes d3, bishop takes d3, e5. And then I can either take on d5 or take on e5. Let's say I take on e5, and then knight takes e5, bishop takes e5. If knight takes d5, there's that bishop takes b2 move I alluded to. So instead of knight takes d5, let's say rook ae1, attacking his bishop. Then let's say bishop takes c3, b takes c3. I'd be threatening rook e7 kind of, but overall he's fine. And actually my queenside pawn structure is a lot worse than his then. So I think that's one route he could go down. Or he could play it more dynamically. Like I said, like queen h5 and keep the queens on the board, try to create problems for me. If possible, I'd love to get this knight over to the king side, as I mentioned, like knight e2 to g3. That would just be peachy. Man, my massive 15-minute rating, 2363, might be in jeopardy based on how this game is going so far. ctom is coming to collect my points. There's a lot of game left to be played, though. You know what's also very interesting here is rook takes f3. A lot of times this exchange stack can happen in the French. Like rook takes f3, and the point is if I take with the queen, he has knight takes d4. And he'll have two center pawns to my none then. He'd also be forking the queen, the bishop, and the pawn. Now I could go rook takes f3, queen takes g6, h takes g6, then take on f3. That'd be a little bit better. Or even take on c6 then, instead of taking the rook. That might be one way to handle it. But then he could take on c3 too. So the line I just mentioned is rook takes f3, queen takes g6, h takes g6, bishop takes c6, hoping that he takes so I can take on f3. But he has rook takes c3, I think. Yeah, and then if I take the rook back, he can take on c6, and he has two bishops and a rook against my two rooks. That's clearly better for him. So rook takes f3 would be a pretty interesting way of going about this position. Maybe rook takes f3, queen takes f3, knight takes d4, maybe queen d3. Queen h3, he has e5, whereby the bishop would attack my queen on h3. Okay, he's actually playing queen h6. That's probably a good move. So again, threatening this capture, and then disaster on h2. If I play rook fe1, is he going to pull the trigger on that? He might. Yeah, he probably would. If h3 is queen f4 coming, maybe not, because then he's not threatening a capture there. g3 is too weakening. I think I kind of have to play h3. Okay, let's do it. We got 5 minutes and 55 seconds remaining. So again, this rook takes f3 move is possible. Rook takes f3, queen takes f3. I think g takes f3 is out of the question in view of queen takes h3. So rook takes f3, queen takes f3, knight takes d4. Queen d3, let's say. Queen f4, g3 defends. My assessment of this position as it stands now is that it's precarious for me, but probably defensible. Okay, he's going to go for this line. I got to take this way. Now he'll take on d4, yep. So queen d3 is the move that I want to play. Queen d1 also might be decent. Maybe queen d1's more accurate. At least on queen d1, I'm not blocking my bishop's like potential escape. If queen g4, there's e5, so I don't like it for that reason. Queen e3, he can trade and then take on c2. I think that's too many pawns. Yeah, so let's go queen d1. If e5, not only is the d5 pawn loose, but then he's blocking the bishop as well. He might introduce bishop takes h3 as an idea, but I'm hoping that that isn't too bad for me. I don't know though. E5 might deserve some attention. Because it's looking likely I'm going to have to waste some time moving this bishop back. So that could buy him the time that he needs. Maybe e5, bishop e2 is the way to go, trying to go bishop g4. Yeah, that might be the way to do it. Guess I'll pre-move this capture. We are attacking his knight, so he has to address that problem. Knight f5. I'm not unhappy to see that move. So bishop back to d3. Is he going to go knight h4? Probably. Taking on d5 doesn't do much. Yeah, I'm going to do this move. Ooh, but is he going to play queen f4? Ah, that might be the idea. Bishop d3, queen f4, threatening mate on h2. I see. Sneaky, sneaky. Because then, like bishop d3, queen f4, g3, he can just take on g3. Yeah, that's working for him. So maybe knight e2. I said I wanted to transfer this knight over in defense. Queen f3 is also possible. It's actually offering a repetition. Maybe I'll do that. I'm just curious if he'll repeat the position or not. And I want to stop queen f4 too, clearly. So knight d4. If I play queen d3, I was worried about e5. Because if knight takes d5, there's c6. Forking the bishop and the knight. So I think I might just repeat. Possibly take the perpetual if he allows it. Because I don't like my position that much. I mean, if he gets coordinated, it could be troublesome for me. He's only down 1 point of material. But like, he'll play c6, he'll play e5, he'll have 2 center pawns to my none. My rooks are a long way from being able to play in this position. It'd be a bit of a shame if it ended in a draw, but I mean, under the circumstances, I don't really see a whole lot else for me. No, he's going to play on. Okay, good stuff. So queen f6. Where's he coming with that? Queen f4 again? Okay, well, let's drop this bishop back. We need to play this. So if queen f4 or queen e5, we always have g3. We can bear that in mind. Yeah, he's just going to play the solid plan, like c6 and then e5. That's smart. f4 would be a good way to try to stop e5, but I think f4 he can just take. Knight e2 maybe? This is a tough position for me. For queen h5, he has just g6. We're not getting anywhere with that. Knight e2, he can swap the knights. Well, maybe that's okay for me. Maybe. Okay. He can swap the knights and then take on b2, though. I'm going to do that, though. I gotta trade some pieces. Even if I lose a pawn, I think I gotta try to do something like this. The point I'm trying to get at is if knight takes e2, bishop takes e2, e5, I want to be able to play bishop g4. I think if I am unable to swap bishops, then his light square pawns are going to come and crush me. So that's why I'm playing like this. So if knight takes, I'll take with a bishop. Let's say knight takes e2, bishop takes e2, queen takes b2. I'll probably still play bishop g4 and try to attack e6. At least then if he plays e5, we can swap, and then rook b1, assuming his queen is on b2, rook b1 would skewer that pawn down on b7 too. All is not lost yet, and time pressure is becoming a problem for him as well. Knight f5, he's going to keep the knight. Not a bad idea. Maybe c4? Could be a decent move. So c4, what if queen e5? c4, queen e5, rook e1, queen h2, king f1. I feel like we could be getting hurt there, but I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to play it. If queen e5, we might also have f4. I'm not sure. Because after, it really weakens our dark squares, but if queen e3 check, let's say king h1. Okay, that move might be a mistake. Okay, so now I'll take. The point is, like, after he takes back, I can take on f5, and he's hanging this pawn. I did see this. Ooh, okay, we might have just caught a break right there. This could be a big turnaround. And he realizes this is a mistake, too. So we'll get ready to take this pawn back. He has to take with a bishop, too. Well, I guess he could take with a queen, but then after queen takes d5, his bishop on d6 would be under attack.
Check.
Yeah, so he'll do that. Now, do I take b7 or knight g3? Knight g3 might be a good move right now. Let's go knight g3. We're attacking the bishop. Bishop e6 is not possible. Yeah, I can actually go knight e4 now, too. Make him get rid of his bishop pair. b7 is still loose, but... Okay, now we're just up a pure exchange. It is purely an exchange. I'm not going to take b7 yet, though. I'm just going to play for f4. He's going to try to blitz me out. What is that? So if I take, he takes f1, we trade. I don't think I have to fear that line. Yeah, let's do this.
Check. Check. Check.
My pawn is strong. He has bishop
Check.
f2, but we're just coming up the board, I think. Yeah, pretty soon he's going to have problems, maybe even with his king. I'm threatening queen e2 right now, by the way. Probably rook e1, yeah. Let's take this pawn. Actually, do I want to do that? No, let's just play a centralizing move. I don't need that pawn. I might even walk my king all the way up, like king h5 to g6. Or king f5. Probably king f5 is better. Yeah, it could assist. This is kind of creative, but I think it's okay. Weird position. Okay. Threatening queen d8 mate. This is kind of like short Timon, the famous King March game. My King March was more obvious than his, but yeah, I think he's busted. Well, actually, he can play bishop h4. It's not losing yet for him. Maybe with rook g3 on the horizon. Yeah, he does that. Let's play g4. Just to make sure, like, this rook move coming over never hurts us too bad. His rook has a tough time doing anything now. I'm just preparing queen f7. That's the threat. Yeah, his rook has nowhere it can go along the third rank. That's going to hurt us. What a turn of events when he played e5. That was a huge break for us. Yeah, he's dead here. He's losing a decisive amount of material or getting mated. I'm not sure he can even avoid mate, actually, in a few moves.
Time warning.
Just have this move now. Bishop f6, we take. Or actually, bishop f6, there's queen f8. He maybe played it a little bit too fast. I think he panicked a bit early after he dropped that pawn. I mean, he recognized that he had made a big mistake, but he started blitzing me out too quickly, and he made, I think, a couple speculative moves there. Yeah, this is totally over. It's mate next move no matter what.
Checkmate.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at this one. So a knight c3 French with knight c6 in reply. So like I said, I've seen it against this. Knight d2, knight c6. This is the Guimard variation. And here it has, I think, slightly more of a point in that you're gaining a tempo on the d-pawn. And there's a similar line like, let's say knight gf3, defending d4, knight f6, e5, knight d7, and then he can try for a quick f6, very much like this game. So here, I'm just going to stick on the engine right away just to see. I think knight f3 is fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. And then knight f6, e5. So maybe bishop d3 or bishop g5 is a better option. Keep the tension. So bishop d3 defends the pawn. Let's say take, knight takes. This is not working because we can take here, and bishop d5 check will win the queen. Discovered attack. So Yeah, maybe bishop d3 is the way to go. He can play bishop b4, and e5 would actually transpose to the game. So maybe bishop g5 instead, pinning his knight. h6, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, castles. The computer claims a small edge for white, but this might be like within the bounds of acceptability for black, so this line might be entirely playable. It's possible this line is just fine, and I just didn't know about it for black. So I played e5, but remains to be seen. Definitely weigh in if you have an opinion one way or the other, or have experience in this line. So bishop d3, bishop b4, and I just defended. I just chose like a simple route, basically, but in doing so, I probably didn't challenge him too much. Yeah, this might be a mistake. Maybe I should play bishop b5 right away. In retrospect, there's really no reason to take here quite yet. Yeah, bishop b5 immediately might be better. It seems weird to like give up this perfectly good bishop, which is kind of gazing at both sides of the board. It seems weird to give that up for the knight, but the point is like the e5 square is extremely crucial for both sides. Like I want to plant a knight in there. It'd be a great outpost square. And you know, he's trying to knock out my center, so there's going to be a clash between the f and the e pawns. So yeah, I wish I would have played bishop b5 there, as opposed to letting his queen come out and generating more pressure on d4. Played a3, bishop d6. Yeah, you can see the engine already likes black in this position. Bishop b5, trying to dislodge his knight. Queen g6 was a great reply. Yep, opening up rook takes f3 is a threat. And if I try to sidestep that with this, I think like rook takes f3 right away even, and then queen h5, threatening queen takes h2 mate, and also queen takes f3. This is really bad for me.
Check.
Let's just look at a sample line. Check
Check.
here, king h1, bishop takes f4. I'm still up a pawn technically, or point technically, but this is not good. I don't like this scenario. There might even be better ways for him to play it, like queen h5 first, for instance. That might be even stronger. So I had a nice long think here and didn't really come up with anything. So I spent about almost 4 minutes on this move. Queen d3, but just didn't see much. So I think my sense of danger let me down a little bit earlier on in that I didn't notice queen g6, and I didn't notice like my position drifting in his favor with this whole queen takes f6, bishop back to d6, castles, pressure on the f file. Because now it's already almost too late to do much. The best move according to the engine is bishop back to d3. Hard to make that move after you've immediately played bishop b5 on the previous move. What if just queen h5 now, though? Bishop e2? Really? Rook takes f3. Okay, I can't take it because of mate on h2, but h3 might work. Trying to go bishop takes f3 on the next move. That's a really specific defense. And it involves playing a backward move, playing the move that you just got done playing, or playing a piece to the square that you were on just a moment ago. It seems like you're going backwards. But queen d3, he maybe correctly kept the queens on. The computer much prefers h5 to h6. What was I going to do against queen h5? I think I was just going to play h3. But then rook takes f3. Yeah, he can do this as a exchange sacrifice, like purely an exchange sack, and then take the pawn on d4. Because I do have these weak pawns once he gets done taking the pawn with his knight. So then say like bishop d3, knight takes f3. Now it's even material, but he's got the two center pawns plus two great bishops. He'll be playing c6 and then e5 again very soon. This is a dream scenario for black. My rooks aren't good. There's too many pawns for my rooks to be good. There's no open files to work with. It was a little strange that he chose h6 over h5. I think he did so because he liked the prospect of queen f4. But yeah, h5 might be just a better way of doing it, because then when he takes on f3 and I take with my queen, he has that option of taking and entering a queenless middle game or an endgame. So queen h6, I played h3, pretty much forced, I think. And now he pulled the trigger. So this is still good for him, but maybe not quite as good as if the queens had come off the board and I was forced to double my pawns. So here I should have played queen g4. I thought that just allowed e5. That's why I didn't do it. Ah, bishop d7. Another move I didn't see, bishop d7, trying to swap the light square bishops. Swapping the light square bishops is crucial. I mean, notice how, like here, I'm slightly worse. Quite a bit worse, actually. But if e5 happens and then bishop d7, suddenly I'm fine again. I think that's the role of the light square bishop, and basically like his bishop tandem, the bishop pair. Those can be deadly in attacking my king. And also if I'm able to offload my pretty awkward bishop on b5, which is likely to just, if it's left on the board, be kind of consumed by his pawns when they start marching, then that's a victory for me. So queen g4 was a more accurate defense. I played queen d1. He went knight f5. I played queen back to f3. We repeated once, and then he played on. So courageous decision and correct decision by ctom. I mean, a lot of people would just settle for the draw because they're thinking like, oh, you know, this guy's much higher rated. He's an IM. Maybe he even knows he's on video and I'm making a video based on this game. But I like the fighting spirit he had. He's not giving me a free pass just because of my rating. And that's a good attitude. I mean, if you guys want to get better, you really shouldn't be in the business of offering draws or seeking out repetitions. The only times you should do that is if like it's clearly beneficial for you to do so. You're like much worse. Other than that, play on, challenge yourself. And he's got a time advantage too. So here the computer wants him just to trade knights. I was going to take with a bishop. That's what I was going to do. So that if e5, I could play this bishop g4 move again. I don't want him to settle in with that bishop pair. And also with a chain of pawns on light squares that could potentially restrict my light square bishop. So the engine says do that. Yeah, I was prepared to give up the b2 pawn. Wasn't thrilled about that, but I was prepared to play this position. I thought it might be something I could save. But instead, he played d5 after knight f5 and then c4. I think c4 is an important move. I have to disrupt the e5 plan somehow. I mean, if I just play something lame, like say I play like, I don't know, queen d2 or something, e5 is coming and I'm staring down the barrel of e4 and his bishop is going to join the attack. His rook will soon come to f8 if the bishop moves. This is real tough. So c4, yep, and he just got overexcited about the possibility of advancing here. I get to take. Maybe taking wasn't accurate. Maybe I should have captured on f5 first. That's what the computer thinks. Bishop takes and then take here. I wasn't sure which move order was best, but I didn't have a whole lot of time, so I just went with one. But apparently this allows e4. Idea being bishop takes e4, queen e5. That's a nice point. Threatening mate on h2 and also threatening the bishop. Wow. So then if rook e1, trying to create a flight square and maybe allow knight g1 as a defense, he can take here, knight g3, queen takes d5, rook e8. I'm just following the engine moves right now.
Check.
King f7, knight takes f5, queen takes
Check.
d1, rook takes d1, king takes e8, take d6,
Check.
and we're in a roughly equal endgame. I don't know about all that. Yeah, that's a complicated line, but point being, e4 might have been a decent attempt by him in between move. Neither of us saw that. So he took, and then I took here.
Check.
And then this happened. Okay, so like right around here, I mean, he knows that he messed up, and he knows that he's probably losing now, but I honestly think he played too fast. So I played knight g3 to attack the bishop. I just wanted to trade one of the bishops off for my knight. I could take on b7, but I think knight g3 is even better. Gaining a tempo here, we're threatening to take, queen takes, and then take on d6. So he drops the bishop back. We get this move in. Because I want to simplify the position as much as I can. Bishop c5. This was probably a good plan, trying to settle the bishop in. I can take b7, but I just wanted to get my rook to the center and also the king off of this diagonal so I can play f4 and break up this mini chain. So maybe right around here. Like, I've just played f4. I know it's kind of scary and it looks like he's losing control, but, I mean, just looking at his time, like, he continued in blitz mode. Like, there was no reason to play rook f8 and allow me to take on e5. I don't know. Then again, maybe I'm being too hard on him. It's possible that this position is just that bad, and maybe playing for time is his best hope, but
Check.
the way the position simplified, I
Check.
guess, is what I'm saying. It was, like, pretty
Check.
easy for me to handle. Like, bishop g1 doesn't do him any favors either. Probably bishop takes b2 or maybe bishop c5 trying to eventually stop this pawn. Maybe that would be more tenacious. Like, even if he has to do something like, let's say, like this. Like, yeah, this position is probably technically losing, but at least, like, his bishop can somewhat get in the way of my pawn advance, same with his rook being on the last rank. Because as played,
Check.
like, he never got
Check.
either of those pieces back into game. And I was able to kind of saunter up with my king, actually. Yeah, now king g6, and we're checkmating here. I think his last chance was king h7. What was I planning to do against that? Probably like queen f7, trying to come here. I could just start marching the pawn, I guess. But he'll have bishop h4, and I don't know if I can win this within the allotted time. Because bishop is stopping the advance of the pawn. It might be slightly tricky to win, too. So maybe slowing down somewhere around here could have bought him the defensive resources he needs to save the game. Yeah, because now he's getting checkmated.
Checkmate.
So highly interesting game. You can see like how the game shifted when he played rook takes f3. Like after that, statically speaking, in the long run, my position is horrible. He's got two center pawns. If he gets coordinated, he's going to have plenty of play, despite being down 1 point of material. The fact that black is better and he's down 1 point of material here should indicate that white's position is statically just much worse. So therefore, I have to do some kind of awkward moves and try to disrupt him a little bit, like this idea of trying to just swap the light square bishops and playing c4 to make sure that he can't just march his pawns in tandem, frustrating his attempt to play e5. You got to do stuff like that. You can't just sit there and wait. Like if I just try to curl up and defend everything, he's going to bring his pieces out. He's going to get coordinated, and probably I'll lose. So I think he handled the game pretty well, and he seemed to show a good knowledge of this line. It might be a pet variation. But yeah, he just made that one big mistake with e5, and also maybe could have put up better defense down the stretch. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll be back tomorrow with another standard video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.